girl, Samantha A, the Faithologist, coming to you with another word that I pray will motivate you, inspire you, and most of all, keep you encouraged on your tailor-made journey. And today, this topic was submitted in my DMs, and someone's asking me, Samantha, how do you deal with stress? How do you deal with keeping the faith and knowing that all things are going to work out for your good? And so I wanted to take a moment to just answer this question, and hopefully it inspires you to keep on with your tailor-made journey and keep on building your faith. And so what happened for me was about 3 years ago, and I shared this story a while back on my Facebook page. But about 3 years ago, I was in a very low place in my life. I was depressed. I was broke. I was broken, and I really just didn't feel like I had a purpose of being here. And so I was very, very, very suicidal during this time frame. And it was around January. It's about January 27th. It was right after the new year. You know, we always say new year, new me. And it was about January 27th, and I felt like, all right, God, that watch night service, I told you, you know, this is going to be a new year, new me, and it's the 27th, and things have not turned around for me. I'm still depressed. My skin's still broken out, you know, like, I'm not in a good place. And I was like wanting God to hurry up and fix my situation and get me out of that situation. And it just felt like it wasn't turning around fast enough. I felt like I had really been in that depressed state for far too long, and I was ready for a change and for a shift to happen. So January 27th, that night, I was in my bathroom in my house. My daughter was in her room sleeping, and that day I decided I wanted to cut myself. I was like, you know what, I'm just tired of being him. I was really ready to have a suicide attempt. And it was in that moment when I was sitting there on the floor with the razor blades to my wrist. You know what I'm saying? I already researched how to cut it and where to cut it and how far we had to go in order for this thing to be over with. Because by this time, you guys, I had lost so much weight to the point where I wasn't eating. I wasn't even drinking water. And it reflected on me. Like, I was so small. And so, you know, I had really gotten to the point where I had given up. And I was like, you know what, it's over with. Like, I don't want to do this anymore, you know. And not even my daughter was enough. Because people always ask me, how could you do that knowing you're going to leave your daughter behind? I honestly, you guys, really felt like she would be better off without me at that time frame. Because I only had enough energy to really go to work, try to make it to work, you know, make sure she ate and make sure that she had clothes on her back. That literally was all I was good for. And that day, you know, I was faced with a decision. It was like God came to me and he was like, Samantha, this is not over for you. He was like, I still have work for you to do. And the reason why you're upset is because I'm showing you that you can no longer live according to your will for your life, because everything that you want for your life is not going to work out if it's not according to what I have already planned for you. And I'm not saying that I'm not going to give you the desires of your heart, but it's in due time when you're ready, because God is not going to put more on you than you can bear. And sometimes we feel like we're ready for certain things and we really aren't. We really aren't. We're asking God for the marriage, for the kids, and for the finances. But if he were to bestow those things upon us right now in the state that we're in, are we really going to be equipped to handle it? Most of the time, not. So that's why it's always best in God's timing. And so he says, Matthew, you've been doing things your way. Why not try it my way? Why not allow me to just show you what I have for you? And trust me, let me be a friend to you. Let me show you what I have for you. And he was like, you never really trusted me before. And I was like, all right, God, you know, I'm going to go ahead and give you a chance or whatever. And I prayed. And so what I started doing is praying. And I would give God what I call book bags. I would put all my feelings in separate book bags. I would have a total of like maybe 5 or 6 book bags at a time of things that were bothering me, that I was worried about or stressed out about. And God would say, you know what, you know, we're going to build this trust thing up, because, you know, I had to develop my relationship with God. And so I would give him a book bag, and that book bag I would lay at his feet. And I would force myself not to go back and pick up that book bag. I was like, all right, God, I'm going to go ahead and let you work it out. Oh, my tape by the end. Hold on, y'all. Be right back. Hold on. So, yeah, I'm back. And I was at the book bags. Yes. so I have to give God these book bags and place them at his feet, because like I said, I was in the process of developing my relationship with God. And so I had to learn how to trust and understand that he's going to make all things work out. And even though I may not understand, or I may not see his hand moving, doesn't mean that he's not working. And so I had to learn how to trust him in all things and trust his word that he was going to make everything work out for my good. So when I would leave my cares and my worries at God's feet, whenever I found myself trying to go back to that place of where I was trying to control the narrative again and not let God's will be done in my life, whenever I found myself going back to control the narrative, I would force myself or remind myself that I needed to say something positive. So for every time I had a thought that took me back to that place, I had to out loud say a positive affirmation or something, a Bible verse, something that kept me reminded of God's promise to me, and also letting me know that he's going to get me out of this thing. And a lot of times we have to learn to, that it's all about God's timing. We cannot rush God to get us out of situations that we put ourselves into. And that's why it's imperative that we learn to take a look at ourselves and see what we did to put ourselves in certain situations. It's all about taking accountability, because sometimes we don't do that. A lot of times we don't do that. And that's how you find us being miserable when things don't work out. And that's because God didn't tell us to do whatever we was doing. And he didn't put us there. And so he reminded me one day when I left something at his feet and I started to get aggravated because it wasn't working out for me. He reminded me, he said, Samantha, you put yourself in this situation. You cannot rush me. He was like, when you order stuff off Fashion Nova, when you put your order in, you see that it's coming, you ain't calling Fashion Nova and rushing them. You give them their expected 3 to 5 business days, and sometimes even more than that when it's delayed, because you can always track your package and see that it's on the way. And that's what God was trying to show me. He was like, you cannot rush me. At least give me 3 to 5 business days. And so I was like, all right, God, you know what, you're right. I need to at least give you those 3 to 5 business days. So I started to give God, that respect. Give him that 3 to 5 business days. And anytime I felt myself going back to that old negative narrative, that's when I would force myself to say something positive. And that's how I developed my shirt square up on those negative thoughts. Because I wanted to train myself to remind myself that I control my thoughts. I control what I believe. And if I say I believe what God is going to do for me, I have to show that and exude that at all times, even when I don't see God's hand, even when I don't understand his plan. I have to know that he's going to make everything work out for my good. So that's one of the things I started doing when I was dealing with anxiety and stress and worries. What I do is I put those issues into book bags, I lay them at God's feet, and I refuse to think about them. I just try to build upon those things and learn the lesson that I'm supposed to learn, gain the wisdom that I'm supposed to gain. And I trust God throughout to make it all work out for me. Because one thing that I know is that as long as you're in his will and you're letting his will be done for your life, he's going to make all things work out for you. And so, family, I pray that this message, helps you. I will go into detail later on, but I just wanted to give you that nugget right now to tie you over. Give God those book bags. Give God those cares and worries that you have right now, and let him work it out for you. Build that relationship up with God. Allow him to work those things out for you, and trust him. And every time you find yourself trying to go back to that negative narrative where you're trying to control the situation again, give God his 3 to 5 business days to work it out. And also in that time frame, learn to take accountability so you don't keep on repeating the same cycle over and over again. As always, family, be bold enough to be you. Make faith your lifestyle daily and enjoy your tailor-made journey. This is your girl Samantha A, the Faithologist. I'm praying for you. I appreciate you and I love you. This has been your weekly dose of vitamin F for faith. I love you. Don't forget to follow me on Facebook at Samantha A, Morgan's Promise, or at Talk Faith with a Faithologist, all on Facebook, on YouTube Samantha A, and on Instagram Samantha A 07. I do follow back. Holla at you, girl.